So it's the 17th day of the month at the time that we're recording this. And to me, it feels like, and this is 17th day of the first month of the new year. I should say that. And for me, and I think for other people, it feels like 6 months in because it seems like so much is coming at us.
Mm.
And I know I'm feeling a little bombarded and and I think maybe others are feeling that way too because we are all connected. We are all connected. So today we're talking about breaking through the chaos because I'm feeling a little chaotic and I think others are feeling that way too. Hi and welcome to New Answers Podcast, where we are discussing solutions to life challenges based on our personal experience. And as always, I am joined by Tiffany Lee, my colleague in our spiritual odyssey through this. I'm Gwendolyn Flynn, and welcome to our conversation. So, are you feeling this same way too, uh, Tiffany?
Well,
This-
definitely. Um, it's 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 bad. It's bad. It's
Isn't
what
it?
one of my friends calls an extinction burst. So that at least would be looking at it with a little bit more positivity, because we know that at least from the spiritual realm, we know that we're going into a new era, a new earth,
Mhm.
and we're at the point where we are not supposed to take with us into this new consciousness, this new reality, what we don't want. So it all has to come, and that's what's happening. And it makes sense, but it's hard because, if you look at the history of the world, none of this is new, right? None of this is new.
Right.
What's really hard about it right now is that it's everything coming up. There's elements to slavery, there's elements to racism, there's elements to child trafficking. There's it's just so much all at
And it
one time.
all at
And
once.
there's Arrow who always has to come right into the shot
Hey, Errol.
and sit by me when I
Errol's drawn into this conversation too.
right. He's grounding me, I guess. Um, so yeah, it's really, really hard and it is chaos. Um, and we're not, when I was getting my downloads about this 2 years ago, and I was hearing that there's going to be a lot of chaos in the process of basically the way the downloads come for me for this era because I'm in real estate was I was told that you can't build a new house without tearing down the old house. And
Right.
so this is what's happening. The whole structure of the world is being torn down. And it's painful. It's horrible,
Mm, mm,
because it was on bad foundation.
hmm.
So at the same time, I was told, don't pay attention to the chaos, look at the light. Okay. And of course I get this 2 years ago and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm excited. We're gonna have a better world. But as things happened, as it started last year, who knew it was gonna be so hard? Like,
You
and
know,
then and then we end 2025, we're like, yes, 2026 is gonna be better. And it starts
it's
off,
gonna be
we're like
better.
17 days in, and we have wars happening, we have ICE shooting people, and it's
Oh
just
my,
like,
yes.
how?
It is so it's like oh it's really overwhelming. And I like the analogy that you gave and the analogy that I heard about the new earth coming. It's like giving birth to something new. And and when you're in the process of giving birth, it's painful. It's painful and it could be a little messy, but then you get this new life, on this earth. And so, and yeah, not paying attention to the bad part, but thinking about because anything that you give attention to kind of grows it, right? It kind of expands it. But it's
Right.
like, and you can't, there's no way to escape it. I'm trying to figure out for me how to modulate myself, like staying away from the news. And it's not to deny that it's, like things aren't happening and you need to
Right.
know what's happening, but you just can't allow yourself to get sucked into it on an ongoing basis. You have to find a way to break through, right? This chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't
Do.
you recently had some downloads regarding this? I know you had downloads 2 years ago.
Right. Well, downloads specifically regarding this,
Hmm.
it was more personal, but it's about consciousness, right?
Okay.
So where we are at a consciousness level, and we this has come up in our last, I think, three shows where you have the levels, the to me, for me, by me, as me. No,
Yes.
to me, for me,
Through me is the fourth,
through
right?
me, and then
Hmm.
as.
Hmm.
And the consciousness of what's happening right now when it comes to the egos, the wars, the crime of humanity, just the way we treat people, is because the consciousness is at the lowest consciousness level of to me. So
Yeah.
you have all this infighting because everyone feels offended by something, you know,
Right.
um, and everyone's on sides, and the world's, in their own bubble, and it's in defense, it's in anger, and it's in fear, and all of this is fear based, right? So that's the lowest level of consciousness. But then there's um for me, that's the next level, which we have been going into, and that's like the manifestation level that we hear about, but it's not a high conscious level. So new earth is going to be more of a through me and as me level. So through me is
Mm.
when, miracles happen through me. So for instance, with my nonprofit, that is me getting a consciousness to help people, and things happen without me putting a lot of effort into it. Like the first time I got the money to build the well, or anything that's
Mhm.
actually happened big for
Yeah.
the non has come easy. It's come through me. It's more like I'm a vessel. I hear this need, then
Mm.
there's this need, and it comes through and it happens. And even
Hmm.
your help with it is a through me effort, right?
Hmm.
As me is the Jesus level, where it's
Yeah.
just highest consciousness, the ego's out of the way, and miracles happen, and it's about loving one another. Because um, the highest level of consciousness is when you realize that you are divine, you are God. That's it. And you don't have to think about my higher self or anything. And that was my download when um it was I was sitting there and I was thinking about my higher self, meditating, and then I, heard like, you are the divine. How could you have a higher self? Because we
Mm.
know that we're sparks of God. We are God.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. Yes.
everything is, my dog is like, this table, this is hard to understand, but nothing's like created without God as is, as it,
Right.
all are sparks of God. And as humans, we are expressions. It's like God expressing themselves through each and every one of
Through
us,
us.
right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So when they talk about the veil, and I don't think I fully understood the veil, but when I had the download and I was picturing it, it was kind of like the veil, a veil is being lifted, like an onion being peeled until
Hmm.
you realize, remember who you are.
Who you are.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, and that has been the journey I think I've been on the last couple months, is the onion being peeled or the veil being lifted, and realizing more and more who I am. But then that also makes you realize who everyone else is, right? And then you
Mhm.
also realize that everyone's at these different levels.
Right.
And that, with that, for me at least, and I think most, is that compassion comes. Compassion,
Hmm.
understanding, forgiveness. Forgiveness in the sense that you really don't need to forgive anyone, because if you fully understand, they're just not at the consciousness to understand that they're living
Hmm.
as fear, that they have control about over what happens to them and in them in their life.
Hmm.
They don't know it. So why do you? So when Jesus says, forgive them for because they know not what they do, they really don't. And
They
we were
don't
there,
know. Yeah.
or I was there. We still may be there. There's
Yeah.
some times, I can, when I have a download, I get
Hmm.
it so much at that moment. And then I
Mm.
go to bed and wake up the next day. And the level of how much I get it is lessened a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
but I know it, and then I have to grow more into it and embody it more and start living it. But
Yeah.
New Earth is what's happening right now is levels of consciousness in a massive amount is raising with the collective.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it doesn't need to be everyone. I think it's kind of like a threshold of like 5% of the population, they said. Someone
Okay.
that I feel like it's more, but my algorithm when I'm on
Hmm.
um, YouTube and Instagram is higher conscious people. So for a while, I was thinking like, aren't we all there? Because that's all I see,
Yeah.
but we're not.
But not, but we're not. We're not. We're not.
Yeah,
And and so I'm gonna back up for a little bit and
I know I said a lot, right?
you said quite a bit and kind of I guess reflect back to you what I'm hearing and I hope in that way help to bring others along who may be at different stages of development in this spiritual odyssey.
Hmm.
The so saying that we are God is not, don't think of it as being blasphemous, that we, and I know that you've said this, but I'm going to emphasize it and kind of uplift this, that we are emanations of God, that God has put us here to do its work. We are the hands and the feet and we do that work. God comes through us. And we have to remember that going back to I guess the very fundamental connection that we have with God, remembering that we are connected to God because we are the hands and feet of God and do God's work. And that's what we mean by, and I think that's what you were meaning by when you say that we are God, and that's going back to that. And then,
Well, I'm
no,
gonna have to stop you, but no, no,
okay,
it's deeper than that. So that is still at the to me level of
that's to me. Okay.
that's to me because to use it as an example of if you're a mom and you have a baby,
Yeah,
all your DNA is in that child. And
right.
when you'll see in your kids, like, oh, that is me, you'll see parts. That's me, that's his dad. So that child, you see the characteristics of you and that person. So you're
Hmm.
connected. You know that you're in that child, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's kind of like that. It's more, I would say it's closer to that.
Hmm.
Because when we say we're the hands and feet of God, yes and no. God doesn't need us really to be the hands and feet of him. We're
Hmm.
not, we're more of an expression. God is saying, I'm going to express myself as Gwen.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's what I mean is we you are God. God's expressing, God's massive. God is everything. And and that's why some people don't use the word God because we have been trained to think of it as an outside being, not as big and powerful as it actually is.
Hmm.
Because God started as just itself, its energy, the spirit, then
Hmm.
created, and some people put it like God was a no thing, then created
Something. Yeah.
something, everything's been created. But because of that, there's no part of any creation that's not
That
God.
is
That's
not
where they
God.
say
God is everywhere present. Yes.
everywhere present. God
Hmm.
is trees, he's in the grass, he's in because nothing something can't be made from nothing.
Hmm.
And if you scientifically, they can look and see that everything, everything, there's one of my tarot cards, me and the tarot card and my dog, when it's broken down to the minuteness way of seeing things, it's the same thing. It's just a matter of how it comes together. So
Hmm.
when we're in like elementary science, it's either it's loosely together or
Yeah.
it's tightly together,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
technically scientists know this, it's everything's the same thing. Everything is God
Yeah.
in different forms, and nothing um is still gonna nothing ever becomes unmade. You know what I mean? It
Hmm.
may
Hmm.
transfer forms.
It just
This will be
changes
dirt
form.
again, changes forms.
Right.
It's like our
Hmm.
physical bodies
Yeah.
will one day go to dirt again, right?
Yeah.
But our
Yeah.
soul and our spirit still exist.
Right.
Different faiths that we're reincarnated and stuff like that. And I mean,
Hmm.
why not? Because our soul and our spirit will still exist.
Yeah.
And so that's why that's why and I probably just went too far with explaining it, but that's what I'm saying is that's like at the highest level of that understanding of
Yeah.
you are God. You're God walking, God expressing itself as you,
As
as
you.
Gwen, as
Right.
me,
Right.
and that's why.
I'm just probably not articulating it in in the way that I should,
So
but I get that.
my latest download, I think it was yesterday, was the reason why it's important to articulate a certain way
Hmm.
is because if you say God is in me,
Hmm.
it almost feels like God is small and the
Hmm.
ego has more control, which is the world we're living in right now. The ego
Yeah.
is controlling people too much. But if
That's
you
not what I
remember,
intend. Yeah.
yeah, that
Hmm.
we are actually God in an
Hmm.
ego persona and
Hmm.
God is stronger. And
Hmm.
so if we articulate it differently and start saying we are God in the ego persona, that can change. We then we know we can change more. People like to say people can't change. No, we can change. We do change anyway every day. But
Yeah.
how we consciously change, we have more control over that. And
Hmm.
how our life goes, we have more control over that when you
Control over it.
know
Yeah.
that you're God.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Hmm.
not like we're not like the everything part of God, but just like our children have our DNA and they really
Yeah.
have talents that we have,
Hmm.
just like if you take a drop of water from the ocean, it's
Hmm.
still the same water that's in the ocean, but now in your hand or in the cup that you scooped it with.
Hmm.
So it has all the same elements. That's what we are. We have all the same elements of the creator, the prime creator, the God.
Hmm.
And that's why we actually have the power that Jesus has to heal our bodies, to help heal
Hmm.
others, to create our life the way that we want to
That we want to create it, to create
when we
this new,
know that we have that power and
that
then
new earth.
embody it and start to use it properly because we're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
We're doing it anyway. And you were talking about the subconscious. The subconscious is what we know, and that designs basically our life. So technically, we're designing our life on a daily basis from our subconscious
Hmm.
with um with an ego influence as opposed to our heart-centered God influence. And that's
Hmm.
flip of raising the consciousness for new earth to come.
Hmm. Hmm.
From the
Yeah.
ego base, it's fear. And then hence
Hmm.
we have wars, we have
Hmm.
division. But when we raise that and realize we're all one, and we're all part of God, that changes the way we think and act and show up in the world.
Exactly. And that's how you break through the chaos. That's what it is. That's what it takes to break through the chaos. But it's just a matter of getting to that. And I recently experienced a different understanding of the subconscious. I'm thinking the subconscious is really powerful.
It is
I mean, and for me, the subconscious is it's like you know that you know that you just, it's like deeply within you, whatever it is you are walking through, experiencing. If you have this on a really deep level in your subconscious level, this is what raises you to the whatever the higher level is in what you were describing as, to me, for me, um, through me, as
through
me.
me, as me. As me
Yeah,
is the God level.
yeah, yeah. And I think helping you to get to that as me is really taking in whatever it is in your subconscious that you know deeply that you know. And so and I know as I know for me as I've been kind of evolving on this journey, I have taken in the sort of instruction on even if you don't believe it, just keep doing it, keep repeating it until you do believe it. And for me, and that becomes part of your subconscious. So recently, I had an opportunity. Let me see how to describe this and how I came to this in the last couple of days. I had an opportunity to be a part of um, something. I was kind of moving into a different direction on how I was going to navigate in the world. And I really didn't feel it. I really didn't, I kept looking at, do I really want to go that way? Um, but then the offer came to me and I said, okay, I say yes. I'll see, but I really didn't feel it.
Hmm.
And then circumstances changed, and the offer was then um, revoked, I guess is the word. And I felt relieved. I felt,
Yeah,
okay. Uh, so maybe because I really wasn't it wasn't deep in my subconscious that this is where I needed to be.
right.
Um, And so and then circumstances happen, the universe, God said, no, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. And so the offer was revoked. And I said, okay, thank goodness. So to me, that said to me that, okay, in my subconscious mind, I knew that I probably shouldn't be doing this. I probably shouldn't be on this path. And then God said, yeah, you're right. You shouldn't be on this path. And then the situation, like I said, the circumstances changed and I wasn't. I said, oh, okay. So anyway, so the lesson for me that came out of that was, it wasn't like I should be sad about it. Like I said, I felt relieved, in fact, but it was sort of a confirmation for me
Hmm.
that I was on the wrong path. And God said, and took it away and said, okay, no, you're not supposed to be doing this. You need to redirect to something else. And I said, oh, okay. So that was the most recent example to me of the power of the subconscious,
Hmm.
like God, telling you this isn't really right. And then when you continue on that path, then God puts things, moves things around to confirm that you're not supposed to be on that path. And I said, okay. So I'm starting to get it. And like I say, for me, it's hard to sometimes articulate some of these things, some of these
Right.
ideas, but I feel like I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
you know,
it's not I was telling someone, maybe you, I don't know, but you hear a lot. Like for me personally, I hear a lot. I've been studying things for so long. It's
hmm
not really until the downloads come in that I'm like, oh, and I don't know how it happens with everyone, but I assume it does happen.
hmm
Um, when it all completely clicks together. And then you see, like for me, I sing at the center and I'll think about a song. I'll get the download. Okay, I'm going to be doing a solo next month. And the solo is
Oh,
by NDRE. It's called I Am Light.
oh,
And it's a beautiful song. I love it. And just to be like, oh, I'm light. It's so nice to say, be light and love and stuff like that. Spiritual people saying it. But do you really understand what that is?
yeah.
It's like saying I am God. And that's her point. She channels that song. If you listen to it online, every time she
Oh,
sings it, it's completely.
uh-huh.
So me trying to learn it, I was so frustrated. I was like, she sings it different every time. And my friend's like, yeah, because she's channeling when she sings.
hmm
But I understand it to another level now, which I'm really excited about singing it now too, because I feel like when I sing it, I'll completely feel it because it's
hmm
like um what's the word I'm trying to use? It's coming at the same time. of my downloads of fully understanding that I am light, that I am the light of
Yeah.
God. And in the song, she says, I'm not the color of my eyes. I'm not the skin on on the outside. I'm not my age. I'm not my race. I am the divine defined. I am God within.
Mm.
And I was like, I know what she's talking about now. So, but it didn't fully click until I had multiple downloads over the last couple of weeks.
Hmm.
And everyone can get these downloads. I mean, or however you receive it, but that's why it's important to have that quiet time that we talked about last week, the meditation
Right,
time, the quiet
right.
time. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So again, it all goes back to breaking through the chaos, right?
Mhm.
It really does. Here's another thought that's come up for me. I think you had talked at some previous conversation that we had about the matrix and um, I guess eh, and I'm going back to the film The Matrix, and I'm processing it to try to understand how that fits into our spiritual journey that we're on and how the things that are happening that we see going on around us is really kind of it's not the real thing. It is kind of an artificial landscape that we are traveling on. It's how I'm thinking about it. And you know, you can tell me if that's um, if what I am interpreting is what is happening out there in the world. And so um, all of this stuff that's coming at us is not the real thing. It's kind of that sort of that matrix, and we have to get to looking at what is real and help to break that up, whatever that those experiences that we're having are, you know, are part of this chaotic feelings that we have. It's all because of this artificial thing that we think we see, and we need to look more deeply at what's going on. I'm sure I'm not articulating
No, no,
this well,
you
but you know what I'm
probably
saying?
are. The reason why I'm in thought is because I remember that download and we did
Oh,
talk about it. But like I said, when it comes through, I understand it super strong, but as time goes on, it does fade a little bit from me too. So I can embody part of it. Um, so I'm sitting here like trying to remember exactly. It's so strong when it comes through, it's strong for a while in
yeah.
my ability to understand it.
Hmm.
Um, so I had to sit here and I'm like, ooh, should I go look at my notes on it?
Oh,
So the mate, okay, I do know. It goes along with the consciousness talk that we just had. Like, because we are
yeah,
the embodied, we are an expression of God. We are, the embodied God in this ego persona. We create our
yeah,
personality and our bodies, our physical bodies. They're all individual. Um, it's kind of still part of our ego persona. There's people that believe we choose the body that we're going to be in, whatnot. But
yeah.
so the Matrix is it's kind of like the play. Oh, yes. Okay, we're going to use a play. It's kind of like a play when you are designing a play, you design the set, you design the
Okay.
characters. So
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, this is what we are living out is the play of our life
Mm-hmm.
because we're all source and source God. Um, and we are playing out a character
Yeah,
source. So, but we have a co-creation ability while we're in this character. And that's the sad part because it's not that what's happening isn't actually happening. What it's happening, our play is actually happening. We're co-creating it as we do it based on our conscious level.
And that's mainly the egoic, right? The ego.
right? The
Yes.
low ego, lowest
Low
level ego
ego.
level, that's
Yeah.
based on fear. So it's out of fear, it's out of a disconnect from our conscious level of who we are.
Yeah.
Because who we are, source is, and this was my download this morning, and it just came back. I knew I had one, and I knew it was really good, and I cannot remember it. So you know they say God is love, and
Yeah.
God is all love. Um, when we are fully aligned with God in that all loving, and like Jesus said, the only important thing is to love yourself and your neighbors, love your neighbors like you love yourself, and
Like
love
yourself.
God. That's all the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are God. So love yourself. And then you have to know yourself. And then when you're loving yourself in the full knowing of who you are, you're loving God. And then you're going to love your neighbors too. And then if you think about, I haven't articulated this in the download, I'm just like remembering it. You think about animals,
Mm-hmm.
they have, I hate to say this, a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I think they have a higher consciousness than us
Mm-hmm.
because yes, they do things instinctually to eat or whatnot, but rarely, unless they're close proximity to humans, do they act out of hate, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and animals love. They love each other too. So that's the God
Yeah.
in as well. And you can even take it down to plants.
Mm-hmm.
Plants, scientists are discovering that trees, they help each other. If you have trees in your backyard and you have one tree that's dying or weaker, they can see that the other trees, the healthier trees, will divert some of their food and water and energy to that tree. They help out the other tree that's love.
Mm.
So love is everywhere. God really is love. The
Yeah.
God element to everything is love. And I forgot what the question was because I knew I had to come that download one to come through for some reason. Um, and then trying to express it and trying to understand it. But it's such a beautiful thing. Like, yeah, God is love.
Yeah.
And oh, this is why. And when we're in the ego, we're disconnected from that realization that we are love.
Yeah.
Everything is love. God is love.
Yeah.
And so when we're not connected, when we are in fear, we can't be in fear and love at the same time. And you hear
Mm-hmm.
people say that, but you don't fully understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're
Mm-hmm.
in fear and self-preservation mode and you have anger and then hate's created, right? And you
That's
find a
right.
reason to hate another person.
Exactly.
It's just because
It
you're
all
disconnected
connects. Mm-hmm.
connected from love. And do you remember the download I had about I don't know if we actually had a show on it, about um how we're technically everyone's walking around because we're so disconnected from love that
Mm-hmm.
we go around looking to be in love, and we look for a person to be in love, and everyone we meet we're like, oh, I'm in love. It's true. We just
Mm-hmm.
don't realize we're in love all the time. But when we get this connection to another person, then you get that spark of that love and that happiness and joy and peace. And everyone has that euphoric feeling when you
Mm-hmm.
meet that person. And then it eventually fades, right? It's because
Right.
it's not the in love feeling that we're actually searching for, and that's knowing who we are as God,
Mm-hmm.
and that we're always in love because everything is love because God is love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can feel that not needing it from another person. You can feel it all the time where you're that
All the,
aligned
yeah.
in the highest level of consciousness as me, because then you're
Mm-hmm.
in love.
Mm-hmm. And then it sounds like you should feel that first before you can find the mate or whatever that you're looking for to,
Well, you
you know,
don't need another person at that point.
you
At
don't.
that
Well,
point, you
true.
just look at you just everyone you encounter, you can expect less from them because you can have more grace, knowing that they're looking for that feeling of love,
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm.
love,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to have grace and you have to have understanding at that point
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because they can only give what they're receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are super aligned and know who you are in the spirit of God and love, you don't really need it elsewhere. And also but you're receiving it so you can give more.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know that what you receive from someone else, they can only give what they already have. They can only
Mm-hmm.
give according to their connection. So you
Mm-hmm.
learn to not expect more. And then you have more forgiveness and grace and compassion
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for people. And
Yeah.
that's what we're walking into with the higher consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
The chaos going on right now, I guess the best way to navigate it would be to look for the good. So when you think about the protesters,
Mm-hmm.
that's good energy. That's beauty. That's people out there being like, we love
We
people.
love
We
our
do not want to see people get
neighbors. Yeah.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Internationally, worldwide, that's happening right now. So we
It
can look
is.
at the chaos. We can look at the chaos or we can look at that. We can look at look at how we're coming together in love for one another.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually really freaking beautiful. And even me, I just felt it when I said it because you look around the world and you see all the protesting. You see you see the bad, you see ICE, but if
Mm-hmm.
you really look at like the comparison,
Mm-hmm.
the love that's that's showing up, people showing up in love right now for one another is way more massive than the unfortunate few elite. And
It is.
they can't win because of that.
Right.
So I'm just downloading all this. So that's really positive. That just made me feel so much better than I felt when we first came on talking about it.
Yeah. I have so much hope for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that we put our energies on that, on that love and express it. And it will always prevail over over the other stuff, the fear, the hate, yeah, the dark side, the shadowy side, I guess. So,
Yeah, if you think about it, historically, the world, like I mentioned before, we've had all
mm-hmm,
things come up. We've
mm-hmm,
had the Nazi era, we've had slavery, we've had
mm-hmm,
and still have, but right now everything is coming up together. So therefore, um, it's it's a massive awakening.
mm-hmm,
Nothing is staying underwater. So it is awakening people. It's a massive awakening to like, hey, you know what? We don't like this. People are
yeah,
not liking this. And so that's why internationally it's all happening at one time because first of all, we're more connected. I mean, that's the beauty of the internet
yeah,
system. We're all
what I
so
was
connected.
gonna say.
And they
Yeah,
can't, if you really think about it, they can't win. They can't win this war because even if they take over, like for the most part, they've taken over media, so we don't see a lot, and so we see a lot through social media.
mm-hmm,
They're buying up the social, they're, you know, are the regimes buying up the social media? But it's so easy these days. I was thinking about that this morning to start your
mm-hmm.
own app. You know what I mean? It's like
True.
they cannot have the control
Mm-mm,
that they used to have, and
mm-hmm,
so again, extinction burst because they know they're losing. So therefore, like throw it all out.
mm-hmm,
I use that as an example. I do this in relationships. When I know a relationship is not going well and I'm at the point of like, if this doesn't change, I'm leaving, I extinction burst. I will throw everything at the person and
instant
like
birth.
this,
Okay.
and if you don't, it's
Mm-hmm,
like my extinction burst. Like
yeah.
all this has to happen, all this has to change if
Mm-hmm,
I'm going to stay in this.
mm-hmm.
Typically doesn't, and then I move on. They're probably like, okay, crazy. Like,
Wow. Yeah, so again, this is quite a lot to process. I'm still thinking that, yeah, so love, we have to be able to love ourselves and not have to look for somebody to love us, like to fulfill a certain need because we already have it filled. But, if we do want to be in a relationship, it's about accepting, the love that that person has, but we're not looking to that other person to fulfill a need, a void, because we have already filled that void. We're just looking for, I don't know, relationship, right? For connection. Um,
Connection. Yeah.
yeah. Then the other thing is like we are connected, and this is why we're all kind of feeling this, even if we're not directly impacted by, and we, and it's, maybe in some roundabout way we are, but if it's not us being accosted by ICE or whatever personally, we're just feeling it out into the, into the universe, right?
Right.
And in this matrix that we have created that is artificial based on our ego, this play like you were talking about. This is a play that is happening that comes out of ego. But if we go deeper than that, and see the what's real and see the love and see that we are all connected, that all of that goes away. That we break through that chaos and it prevails over the feeling of having to protect yourself because you're in fear, aren't understanding whatever another person or whatever it is, which leads to hatred and leads to all of this behavior that is ungodlike, basically. But if we go deeper than that and burst through this artificial situation, this what I call the matrix, and maybe that's the wrong term that I'm putting on
No, a
it.
lot of people use it as a matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, that we get to the real, our real self, our deeper self, our what is it? The to me, for me, as me, through me, at least to the as me, if not to the higher self through me.
Oh, as me is the highest. Through me
Oh,
is
the as me is the highest. So through me is the next
not
level.
many people has made it to the as me. That's Jesus. That's
Hmm.
I want to say Gandhi, I'm not sure, but
Through
yeah,
me, then as me is the high. Okay. Okay. So, but I do have hope because, like you say, that there are people coming out and saying, no, this is not what we want.
massive,
And there's more of us standing up for that than there are of the people on the other side.
right.
So I am in,
It's kind of like when you have your everyone has their boundaries, right?
yeah, right.
And then when the boundaries are pushed, that's when some people have very strong boundaries and some people have very
Hmm.
weak boundaries. I've been known to have weak boundaries, but I will be like, okay, when my boundaries push to the part of, especially as me, not as me, to me, where the majority of people is, they have their
Hmm.
boundaries because they always feel like things are happening to them.
Hmm.
They can stay in their bubble and not care about what's happening to the around them as long as it doesn't
Hmm.
happen to them. And that's
Mm.
what we've had a lot of, right?
We've had a lot of
But
that.
with
Yeah,
everything coming up, it's hitting people's boundaries a lot more where it
that's
has to
true.
be through that
Mm.
to me because it's happening to them. And that's what's forcing an awakening of like, wait, this isn't good. This isn't fair. And unfortunately, a lot of people something has to happen to them before they realize how wrong something is. They,
Yeah,
they look at a distance and they go, oh, that probably happened to this person because of whatever. But um, but once they realize they're not untouchable, and that's what with all this coming up, it's where people are beginning to realize they're not untouchable and that they're believing lies, their eyes are opening up to, I don't want to hate anymore.
yeah, yeah. It just seems to me a lot of energy goes into hate.
So
There's a lot less energy you have to expend if you love. It seems to me. I don't know.
it is because it's really who we are. It's our natural state. Like being mad
That's the
about like,
difference.
yes, being
It's the
mad,
natural state.
it's the natural
It's
state.
unnatural, which means you have to work harder to be in hate, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. That's why people ask me, like, why do you forgive people so easy? Or, you know, some people call me a people pleaser, and it's not because I'm trying to please people. It's because
Hmm.
I feel energy in myself. I'm an
Yeah,
energy reader. I read myself too. And if an energy does not feel comfortable for me,
yeah.
then I change it. And if it
Hmm.
means that like someone did something that to offend me at some point, I don't hold on to grudges because I feel that in me. So I'm
Hmm.
like, no, it
Hmm.
doesn't happen. It's easy for me to go, they know not what they did. I understand that concept and I can let it go. It's not that
Hmm.
I'm walked over or whatever. It's like, no, I don't like that negative energy in my body. So that's why
Hmm.
I release everything.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of the same way. I know my son is, accused me of being too trusting because, that's how I start out a relationship. It's about,
Well, look, think of the energy of being like, I'm not going to trust. That also is like, why?
I know why.
Why?
Yeah,
And then what do you create with that too, by the way?
for real.
If someone eventually hurts you, then you decide based on how you feel to leave it or come back. It's like you don't get anywhere starting off not trusting someone. It's a
Exactly.
heavy, uncomfortable energy.
Yeah. Too much, and I'm kind of lazy in that way that I don't want to expend that kind of energy.
Right.
Just
That's
don't,
right. I'm
you know?
way too lazy to hate people and
I
to be untrusting. That's a
I
lot.
am. It's just too much energy, and I don't have that kind of energy to expend in that way. It's
Right,
easier
exactly.
for me. It's like you say, it's the natural state of being, to
Yeah.
be loving and
Loving.
trusting and
Yeah, it
whatever.
is.
And then, well, if something happens that changes my, attitude, and hopefully it doesn't, happen, then maybe I'll have to think about another way of interacting with that person. But
Exactly. But then you deal with it then,
you
and
deal
then you
with it
settle it,
then.
as opposed to trying to carry this
Right,
lack of trust in people or this anger
right.
or hate. It's like that's so much. And that also causes illnesses, and that's a whole other
Oh,
show.
that's for sure. I was going to say I think it
It
does. I think it
does,
does.
yeah.
It just what is the word? It not manifests, but it just builds up, in you. And yeah, that's never going to be healthy. You know,
Right? It
it really affects your physical being
does.
when that builds up. So this has been fascinating, and we could probably go on for another hour, but we won't do that. But we want to hear from you, if there's anything that you heard that resonates, that really kind of touched your heartstrings in some way. And we were trying to, provide information about how to break through the chaos that we're experiencing um, this early in a new year. But we think, hopefully, that you got out of this that there is a light coming, because we see things changing, things happening, because those of us who are feeling the love and we're feeling that connection to each other that we all have, that and that light will dominate over um, the shadowiness that's out there. And I think it's going to happen, I, I, I don't have any downloads that tell me and can predict to me at what the time frame is for this. But because we're seeing these fissures, these cracks that are happening, I think it's going to happen sooner than later, for sure. So tell us what you think about what you've heard from us and what are you experiencing and how are you, and is there anything that you heard there that's going to help you break through the chaos that you are probably experiencing as well? Um, place your information in the comments below this video. And of course, I'm going to always remind you to click on subscribe so that you can, at this point, when you click on subscribe, it'll give you the opportunity to be notified when posts, any new videos are posted on this channel. So, on behalf of Tiffany Lee, I'm Gwendolyn Flynn. We'll see you next time.